Let's talk about Doki Doki Literature Club. It's a game you probably heard of. It came out, it's free, and it came out like 3 months ago, September I think it was. And it's one of those things that people will say, "Oh, you got to play it. Don't learn anything about it." 2 million year long game that people say takes 20 minutes. It's one of those games also that's like, oh, 3-4 hours. This took me 6 hours. Now, granted, I was reading it all out loud to kind of make silly voices and everything, so it took forever. This is not a 3-4 hour game. This is a 3-4 hour game if you're like, clickety, 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 click. Chillax. All right? Have a fun time for 6 hours. Doesn't matter. The shorthand of should you play this game, is it good, before we get into Spoiler Town. Oh, which actually should be off. No Spoiler Town. Spoiler Town not on. It's good. I think it's worth playing. I don't think it's that amazing. I think you should play it. It's free. It's also one of those things where people are kind of overhyping it a bit way too much. They're also saying things like, oh, it's a horror game. At no point did I ever think this was scary or whatever. And Delphox, I briefly talked to you about this. I don't believe that playing it all in one 6-hour sitting, which is way too long, I don't believe that had any effect on it. I don't think I would have been more scared or whatever by what was being presented if I had done it in 2 or 3 sittings, whatever, or not on stream for that matter. The game's fine. It's written very well. I like its conceit. I like its reveal, its twist, its whatever. But I think it kind of goes nowhere, and I think there are games that do it better. Pony Island is one. Even stuff in Undertale does it better. Frog Fractions does it better. What's that game? Shit. It's the one, it's on PC, and it's like a voiceover that's telling you which way to go. Well, Joel, you could watch my Let's Play. I read it to you. It's 6 hours, though. And my voices are terrible. What was that game? But it was like there's this narrator telling you to do stuff, and if you follow him, it's like a 5-minute game. But if you start deviating from the path, he's like, no. You did this. And you start doing other things, and he's talking to you and trying to lead you down other places. It's a really, really cool game. I forget what it's called right now, but I think those games do this game better. And there's also that weird Stanley Parable. Yeah, that's what it is. The Stanley Parable. Great game. There's also the warnings before this game starts with like, oh, it deals with adult themes and all this stuff. I mean, it does. I won't say it doesn't, but I think its main narrative conceit ruins that. And we'll just go right into Spoilers Town. So Joel, if you ever want to play this game, I'm going to ruin it for you if you're still here. Now the spoilers can officially be put on the screen. I should figure out how to make this spoiler thing spin. Is that something you can do? I'll figure it out later. So the big reveal on why some people have, why there is a content warning and a kind of a hullabaloo about it is, I didn't even talk about what the game is. I guess you could see what it is. It's people talking, and you kind of pick a girl to date, and the one best friend girl eventually reveals that she has depression and is suffering and all this. And then regardless of your choices, I need waifus or no playing. Well, regardless of your choices, she kills herself in a way that is shown and is very like, oh. But I will say, the way people were talking about this game and the way it was leading up, and as soon as she mentioned depression, I was like, oh, she's going to kill herself. I knew it immediately. Oh, she's going to kill herself. And then before it was even, as we were going up to her room, like, oh, she hung herself. I just know it. And she did. I just knew it. Like, so I knew where this thing was going. Not only that, because there is an argument to be made how it's presented to the player is very interesting and is done very well with a lot of respect towards mental illness. and then the game ends, right? And it restarts without that character. So then you're going through the same scenario and you're seeing it kind of like what the world would be like without what's her name? I've already forgotten. Sayori. What the world would be like without her, right? But then it kind of devolves from there, where the main club girl, Monica, is running the show and is self-aware, and you have to do all this nonsense. And you learn that the only reason why Sayori was depressed and killed herself in the first place was because Monica made her, because she's self-aware in this game, and so she's killing off all the other characters so she can only be with you. Right? And like that's interesting, but I feel like it undermines the whole depression suicide angle. If this game had been literally the same all the way through to Sayori's death, and then you start the game again, and now she's gone, and you see the world of what, like, the impact she had on your life, just your normal day-to-day school life, and to see what it would be like without her in it, that would have been so much more interesting. It doesn't need this whole plot of Monica self-aware, because as I said, Stanley Parable, Pony Island, all these other games do it way better and more comprehensively. Now, granted, those games are not free. But if it was going back into your school life and now you're joining this club and you just happen to be in the same thing and these characters are here and you start noticing, oh, that person didn't do that. And like, oh, they're arguing now because Sayori wasn't here to stop the argument. That's a bummer. If it had been more somber, if it had dealt with it, like it deals with the themes in a mature way, but it drops it. It just lets it go. It says, here's this thing that a lot of people deal with. It's important. Let's look at it. And then it shoos it away almost instantly and goes down the path of Monica being the puppet master. And that, while that's interesting, I think I would have rather it had picked one. Go full into Monica being controlling and you're trying to almost figure it out. It's like, does Monica know? I know that she's controlling me. Like this meta weird narrative where you're both going into the file system and trying to move things around, and you're finding text files of like her plans and things and what she's going to do next, and you can edit it and maybe edit the game file that way. Do some really interesting bizarro world shit that way, or go into, no, this is your real life. Your best friend since childhood killed herself. This is what it would have been like without her. And then it kind of cuts back to the decision you made and you make a better decision and maybe try and save her, maybe like redo the last couple days and make her feel better and understand her more. Like that would have been really powerful and interesting. And instead it is neither of those things. And I think it's fine. Yeah. It had the stuff with Yuri's self-harm and Natsuke. Let's just make up name. Natsuki's abuse situation as well. But it skipped those. Yeah, it like introduces these things that, oh, Yuri hurts herself, cuts herself. Okay, but we're given like no context. It almost, and that's the thing, is it's Monica adding it in just so you don't like Yuri, which is fine, but it's kind of trivializes it and makes it not relatable, because these are all fake characters, and even with Monica being self-aware, she's still not real. So she's just as fake as these fake characters that she for some reason has control over, and it just doesn't work for me. And I don't know, it's weird to kind of complain all about that, because a lot of people love this game, and I really don't get it, quite frankly, because it, as I said, it fails from both avenues. It doesn't go full Stanley Parable, full Pony Island, and it doesn't treat this. It doesn't go Hellblade. Hellblade really made me think and learn, I feel like. And this is, oh, that was cool. It was worth the time. It wasn't. I don't look back on that 6 hours and go, I could have spent my time doing something better. Like, no, I probably could have not read everything so slowly and weirdly and sped it up. But yeah, I would have been better off going through each girl's situation with the adult themes. I think it could have very easily split split the girls up in in a way where you're trying to pick one, right? And then as you're learning more about them, you start seeing these sides of them that are hidden away. And you're actually learning about them and seeing like, oh, she has depression. Like, let's learn more about that and how she deals with it. And you can kind of pick her as this waifu, whatever, and go through that and see where that would lead, even if it all eventually leads to them killing themselves, which is crazy dark. But even if it did that, you'd at least be able to pick and kind of see like, well, what's her issue? What's her issue? And then you'd be able to replay it again. Like, oh, that's why she said this here. That's why she's always like this. That's, you know, why she's reserved, or why Natsuki's, you know, tsundere or whatever. Yeah, the whole idea of Monica being upset that she didn't have an ending for her, so she makes the other girls unlikable so you don't choose them, but it wasn't perfect. Yeah, it was, it's like really close, but it ultimately, And I won't use the excuse that it's a free game. I'll use the excuse that it's a free game and that, you know, I'm sure they knew a lot of these things, and they maybe would have wanted to take a different direction or put more thought into this way or that way, but it's free and we're just going to release this out and it's a cool little experiment. So I'm fine with that. But yeah, saying it's free doesn't make it any more or less immune or, you know, whatever to criticism than if it was $100. It's the same complaints pretty much. It's just that it is free, so it's more positive to be like, yeah, try it, you know. It costs you nothing to try. And if you play it for a little bit and go, I don't want this, then you figured it out. But I think the people being like, oh, this is my game of the year. Like, man, did you not play any games this year? Or what's that about? It has really good art. I didn't even mention that. I like how my non-spoiler section has 3 minutes of the spoilers up on the screen for no goddamn reason. I don't even say what the game is. I'm just like, oh, I think it's good, maybe, I don't know, but it doesn't really good, who knows? And spoilers for 30 minutes. That's the story of my life. Well, I think that's the key thing to hear with this game is there's a lot of hype and a lot of hyperbole going into it. And if you just go into it not knowing anything, because people are like, oh, it's a horror game. Who are these people? Why are people saying this? It's not scary. There's nothing scary. It's like suspenseful. You could say it's dark. You could say it gets really dark. But don't say it's a horror game. It's not fucking It jumping through doors and windows eating kids. It's not a horror game. That gives you expectations that are not going to be met. And saying it blows your mind. Don't say that. Don't listen to it. Just fun time, 6 hours. That's it. Yeah, it has the warning at the beginning, which I'm fine with. But at the same time, the warning was almost too specific. Because again, it was like, oh, this is going to be suicide. Like 100% this is going to be suicide. Like at the end of the day, how to get people on Twitter all a-twitting. Suicide. There you go. You figured it out. And it's important. And it's unfortunate that it wasn't... Oh, well, spoilers are off. Well, whatever. It's unfortunate that it's not handled in that meaningful of a way. It literally ends after that, which is the most tragic thing. I'm a pussy, my bad. But how? Explain to me how though? I just don't get it. Like, are you thinking about a certain part of it, or I just don't understand anything about it. Perhaps my own brain is too dark, where I'm like, oh, this is tame. This game is tame. You're just hanging yourself. That's nothing. Put the spoiler tag back up. Put the spoilers back up. Someone dies. Put the spoilers back up. I don't know. And it's not that it's not spooky. It's just, it's hard to be scared in a game where I have to advance the text manually, right? At no point is it coming at me, right? I can just click and go, well, if I don't want to click anymore, no clicky, I'm done, right? So it's a little bit on you to keep going. Santa hat. There were a few jump scares. Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, I would say you being younger is definitely, it's going to maybe be more effective. Because for me, I wouldn't say I have depression in the same way Sayori does. Certainly I wouldn't. Um, but definitely have like weird mood swingy whatevers that can dip really dark. Um, and to that, I don't need warnings for anything. Seeing another person suffer from something similar doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't even help. It's just like indifferent. Well, whatever. That's another thing. You're you, and I'm me over here being weird. That's kind of how I feel about everything, though. We're all broken in our own special ways. See, like the spoilers button. I also do have the Santa hat. I could put the Santa hat on again and have double hats. I need to cut off this tag. It's really pissing me off. But it's fine. The game's fine. I think we can ramble on this enough. We could talk about it in the Discord as well. I said, you're not a weenie. I'm just emotionless and have no soul. That's all that is. It is a that's the thing too, is like I can't care about Sayori because they don't put the spoilers back up, because they don't do anything with it. They're like, oh, she actually is in love with you and all these things, and then immediately drop it. That was a weak snap. Immediately gets dropped and goes nowhere. Like, man, if this had explored that, I would have been so into it. But it doesn't go anywhere. It just touches the surface, and as soon as you know that it's Monica behind it all, you know it's not real. You know it's not, none of it's real, but you know it's just of her manufacture and not a real disorder that's happening to a fake character, and that's the problem. Oh, that was good. All right, we'll end it there. Jesus. Oh, put the spoilers on. It still says All right, that's the show. Every Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, twitch.tv/thegamefanatics. I'm going to be here for the somewhat foreseeable future to ramble. I think every week I should just talk about Doki Doki Literature Club because I do like talking about it, and it is interesting enough. But who knows? A good note. It's a good, solid. It's very literary. So thank you. Thanks for hanging out. Merry Christmas. Oh. And a Happy New Year. I don't know how to wear hats. Explain it to me.